You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Rookie Blue After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Rookie Blue After Show.
Oh yeah. What? Nice. Hello everybody. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV's After Show for Rookie Blue. Tonight we are doing Season 5, Episode 5, Going Under. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini, and joining me tonight I have
Yvonne Maisonette.
Hello,
Hi.
Yvonne. We are back. Tiana is not here tonight. She's partying it up at a concert, so she's having fun right now. But we're going to have some fun talking about tonight's episode.
We are.
Overall, what did you think of tonight's episode?
Well, I thought it was really exciting, and there's so much going on. Like, I think most importantly was the way Chris was behaving. That really...
I think so, and I think what was cool is that they actually, maybe not cool is the best word, but they actually made it clear what Chris was doing. We were speculating it was drugs or something, but they did say cocaine.
They did.
So hence the music at the beginning of White Lines. I mean,
exactly.
That makes sense.
And we've
now.
been waiting for this. We wanted to know, like, what's up with Chris, and now, like, something's really up with Chris.
Yeah, so maybe he's actually doing cocaine. I mean, interesting. Overall, I thought this was a great episode.
Yeah.
I love how they packed so much in just 42 minutes. It's crazy.
It was a lot to digest.
There was a lot to digest. So, you know what? Let's just digest it right now. So, we start off with Chris and Dove. They're driving in the car, and then they get this response to this call saying that there's a disturbance at the frat house, the Mega Alpha Kappa frat house. And so they go there and they check out these two guys that are like beating the crap out of each other.
Right.
And what did you think of Diaz during this one? He just wailed on that guy.
That was like the beginning. That's when you know, okay, he's losing control because he just punches the guy and
three times.
Yeah, it was intense, and that's when you're like, okay, he's losing it. He's falling apart. Like he's not keeping it together anymore.
No, I mean, you obviously you had to yes control the situation, but Diaz seemed like he already got the guy in the first punch. He did not need to punch.
It was like an ego thing. He said something. He turned around and looked at him, and he just had to deck him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a little too excessive on Diaz's part. But they found out that the other guy, the one that Dove was controlling, actually had a gun on him, and it was an unregistered gun. So that pretty much starts off the whole episode, because the very next morning we get the everyday parade that we love, and they found out that the gun that these college guys have obtained are unregistered, and they found out they're getting it at this local bar. So they're all going undercover, going to the bar to take down whoever is selling them.
And it's kind of crazy. These college kids all of a sudden are carrying guns. That's something you just kind of didn't expect in that moment. Was a gun. I'm sorry. Even when he punched him, that could be very volatile situation.
Yeah, well, especially unregistered. I mean, that's scary, especially if young people can get it. Who else is getting it too? I mean, last week we dealt with gangs, and now we have guns. I mean, so much happens in that area. There's this bartender, Angelo Passetti. Interesting, badass name. And so they have to use the code bobsled martini to give the money just to, you know, that it doesn't get them the actual guy who sells the guns, but a step closer.
Right.
That they said. And so everyone's going undercover. We have Diaz, we have Dove, and Nick. They all go to the bar. Nick is at the bar.
Hitting on Esther.
Yeah, all right. I think it was more so Esther hitting on him. What do we think of that girl?
She was a feisty little thing.
Yeah, I was like, she's trouble. She has trouble with written all over her. I didn't like her.
Yeah.
I was like, this cannot be going good, Nick. No, and even Gail, sorry, not Gail, sorry, Tracy and Steve were like making fun of this.
And that was kind of fun, them watching and predicting what was going to happen. That was kind of a fun little added thing that was going on is them like, oh, he's going to say this, it's not going to happen, or, you know.
Oh, what a typical conversation. It's like, come on, don't be that simple. I love levity in episodes, which was fun. So Diaz has to give, he's and point to, you know, make the drop, or pretty much like go buy the gun. And he has to drop money, which are actually UV printed with serial numbers on it. But we find his shady friend at the beginning of the episode. We see that Diaz is owing money to his friend. I shouldn't say friend.
His dealer. His dealer.
His cocaine dealer.
He's a real number.
What?
James. That's James, right? He's a number.
Yeah, I believe his name is James. I thought it was J or JB.
It starts with a J.
I'm pretty sure it's James. Let us know what his name is. I mean, we only watched the episode once, so we tend to miss a few details here and there. So let us know. But James, I didn't like him. I'm like, okay, he's a shady dude, and his shades. What was that?
The shades were bugging you. You were like, what's with the shades?
I was like, that's so pretentious.
Yes.
I mean,
but you know, I have to say that something about him was badass in the sense that I felt like he just wasn't intimidated by Chris, and to some degree you would think he wasn't swayed by him throughout the whole episode. I felt like he was the one who was kind of like throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, he was putting on a show, but
yeah, but he didn't back down with the whole I know I'm getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but
yeah,
with the whole cop thing, and
we'll definitely get to that. But I don't know, he was just, I was intimidated by him. I'm like, he doesn't look scary. Yeah, he has an attitude, but
that was about it.
I'm not afraid of him and his sunglasses.
That he kept putting
Come on, dude, it's winter time. Why are you wearing sunglasses? The sun's not out. But, okay, so his friend is also there, but kind of ruining the undercover process that they're all supposed to be doing right now. And Diaz changes, so he drops the money, gives his name and number to the guy who's supposed to, you know, connect him to the actual gun seller, but he drops the money at the towel dispenser
instead of the prearranged place.
Yeah, the coat check-in.
Did you ever figure out what that was about? Like at the end of the day, was that what? Because why did he put it there and then it was gone, but we never see him.
Oh, I think it was led to believe that the Angelo guy picked up the money, or the actual gun person picked up the money, because we see Nick go back to it and the money's not there. Right. But so I think it was just led to believe that, okay, he has the real money now. And yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and then Diaz goes into the bathroom. He's trying to hide from his friend.
That was very funny. Okay, that was a funny scene when he was crouched on top of the toilet and he opens the door. James opens the door like, are you running from me now? Yeah. Are you running from me, man? He's like, no. It was just quite funny, actually.
Yeah, but then, you know, Diaz is turning off his actual device that they're still undercover during an operation, and then Tracy and Steve can't hear him. I mean, that's a big no-no.
Big. So he's just a mess. He's acting like a drug addict. Just the way he's acting.
But he's being secretive while he's on the job. I'm like, you don't do that, especially when you're undercover. Come on,
he's trying to tell on himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. So then they get the message to go outside in the alley. But again, his friend is there, James. I'm already not, like, I already don't like him, and he just shows up at all the wrong places. There.
But this is a thing. Is he the gun guy? You know, like, he comes out and he's like, yo, like, what are you doing here? Get in. Go back in.
You think he would be, but...
But it was kind of like he just came out maybe too soon and messed
he's looking to collect because Diaz is owing him money. But
he thought he was leaving because he's like, I told you don't leave. Yeah. And he's like...
You thought you were leaving without giving me money. But, he just kept getting in the way. So Diaz had to do what, you know, again, turning off his device, and Dove is like catching up on all in this. He's like, something's going on.
Dove is figuring it out kind of right about now. He's like, okay, what's up? Yeah. He kind of got suspicious in the bathroom when he's like, well, you have bars now. But he's like, okay, but out there, I think that was the moment when he's like, okay, something's up. When he just slams James against the wall and arrests him and pulls out the coke.
Well, I think
it was a panic.
Yeah, it was a panic. Try to keep his cover. Also, you know, he said, "Just go with it. I'm arresting you to make sure that, like, you know, I don't want to bust myself for also being a drug person as well." But you know, turning off his device the second time and then lying about it.
I just can't wait to see what's going to happen.
It felt like such a Duncan kind of move, like lying about it in the same vein. I mean.
And James, it just makes it messier. I'm sorry. It's
definitely. I mean, and James always being there, he could have been charged with obstruction of justice, or like the obstruction of a police investigation.
he just panicked. You know, basically he's not thinking clearly, and he panicked. It's like he's reacting quickly to everything, and none of it's well thought out.
Yeah. So we go back to the actual division, and Diaz says he's gonna book him, take him away from Dev, isolate him, and like be like, yo, we're just processing you, but we're not charging you anything. And then of course James is like, dude, you're a cop? Are you kidding me?
And James is like, oh no, I'm gonna tell. He was like, first chance I get, I'm naming you.
I'm naming you.
I'm naming
Chris
you.
Diaz.
But he could have crumbled. That's what I'm saying. Like, James may not be tough in the sense like his sunglasses, he may look like a bit of a dork, but he was kind of like not backing down because Chris is like, chill, man, you know, like we're just booking you and we'll, you know, we're just processing you. And he's like, no, I'm going to name you like throughout the whole
I'm taking you down.
Yeah.
I don't care where we're at, where I'm surrounded by cops, but I'm still taking you down.
He was never like, okay. He was like, no, man, it's your bad. And, you know.
Oh, yeah. You know, and I will give it to James, even though he is a pretentious guy.
Sunglass wearing.
Yes, absolutely, and all the above. But, you know, Diaz was the one that was shaking throughout the whole thing.
Totally.
He was the one lying and covering up JB, taking that cocaine evidence and actually dumping it and replacing it with baking soda.
Yeah.
What did you think of that? That seems completely out of character for Diaz.
And so reckless. I mean, he was like going through the cabinets. I mean, you're at work. People can see rummaging, squishing the baking soda on the counter.
Yeah, he was not being clean whatsoever.
He was so reckless. And I'm like, he's a mess. Like, he was literally smashing it right there. Like, anyone could have walked in.
I mean, we had Peck walk in.
Yeah,
we had Steve walked in. And I'm like, oh, okay, Steve, you don't see him kind of being really shady right now.
Scooping the baking into the coffee
No big
cup.
deal. He's not being suspicious whatsoever.
No, and he got away with. It was pretty slick, but it was just so reckless. If I were to describe him, that's what I would say.
Yeah. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. Even before that, because Diaz promised, which you don't ever promise. No, don't ever promise, especially drug dealers. He promised James that he wouldn't charge him so long as he gives them the name of the gun seller. So I guess maybe he does have those connections. And James is not giving that up.
No.
Be like, you could be our confidential informant and you can still deal. And he's not budging.
That's what I'm saying. He's the one who's got the upper hand in this scenario.
That is kind of scary. I mean, we can definitely see Diaz's deterioration.
Yeah, totally. And then he's like, but I promised. The way he says, like, yo, okay. Like,
he seems like a desperate kid.
Yeah.
Like someone who's literally going under. I figured out the title. Wow, look at that. All right.
Going under.
Now, I was thinking about that. I'm like, what does going under apply to this episode? Got it. Done.
You're good.
All right, so Diaz replaces it with baking soda, and then and not to jump too far ahead, but we definitely will go back. But they, in the end, clear him because it was baking
and then
soda.
they're like, oh, this is confusing, you know?
Yeah, why was he even there?
And that scene,
it still does not make sense.
No. And then the scene when they went into the room and he's like, asking how much was turned in, and he said no, and right at that moment Chris walks in, and that was another,
Dove checking up on him.
Yeah. He's like, you checking up on me? But it was so smooth because he got away with it.
Yeah.
It was a close call.
But it shows Dove knows what's up, too.
Oh, Dove knows.
I mean, when you work with that partner for so long, you got to know, like, when someone's acting weird.
At this point, Dove knows. Like, for sure.
Absolutely.
But that was some stuff, well, Chris is falling apart, but he was a little bit smooth when it comes, that whole scene, he got away with it, and the swap of the cocaine and the baby powder.
Messy swap.
It was messy, but it was, in the end,
very
a success.
So we go back to the bar, and we have pretty much Nick there flirting with Esther,
and we're believing it, right? It's believable.
I did believe it. I'm like, okay, maybe she really is just flirting. She's been texting all night, ex-boyfriend. She wants some stress relief, and so does Nick, because we know him. He's kind of in that position too. But we find out that actually she's part of the whole gun dealing too.
That was kind of good. I love that scene. when she was like, you know, come home with me tonight, and he's like, actually, you're under arrest.
You're under arrest.
That was good.
What did you think of that? I love Nick. He was so suave and very smooth and so nonchalant. He's like, here's my badge. You're under arrest for illegal
kind of sexy
firearm trafficking, and boom. And also, I have your phone, which will lead to your gun dealer.
And I'm going to find the money in your purse. I guarantee the
because she had. Well, we did see she had the roll, and then there were so many things that would kind of go against her. Also, she was serving after hours, and
that was a good one because he was like, "I'll have one." She's like, "It's after hours," and he's like, "Well, you served him," and he's like, "She's like, all right." So that was kind of funny. It was kind of a funny little scene. I like that.
It was a nice lead on, and then just to take you down. You're like, well, you know,
it ain't happening.
Could get you for after hours, but I'm actually going to get you for illegal gunfire trafficking instead. But I loved it. So smooth.
It was a really cute. Yeah, it was a cute scene, and I just liked how, you know, it was all the way. It was believable all the way up until he's like, "Bam, you're under arrest."
Here it's just flash. It was so smooth. I can't. Yeah. There's no other word for it.
Yeah.
So they you know, they get the guys and arrest them. So that was, you know, pretty much the first case, but we'll get into the second case. But I just want to take a quick minute to thank everyone on iTunes and YouTube for commenting, downloading, rating, comment, and I already said commenting, but subscribing to our show. Rookie Blue is back. We're excited. Shout out to everyone who's been commenting since over our hiatus. I have read those too. Next week we will give shout outs to people. And also thank you for commenting on YouTube. And because it is summer, you should probably read our founder, Maria Menounos' new book that just came out, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness. If you want your nice summer body, you should definitely read this book. Great pictures, great interviews with health, fitness, and celebrities alike, and amazing photos in it, and awesome recipes if you like to cook and just eat healthy. It's her way of how she lost 40 pounds and how you can keep it off too. I mean, it really is a great, easy read, and not just for every girl, but for everybody.
Everybody.
I read it. It's really great. So yes, go buy it. It's awesome. Let's get into the second case. I mean, so much happened in tonight's episode. Goodness.
I know. So the second case.
Second case. Andy and Sam working together. I like this. I mean, it was a very cute type of case together.
It was kind of sweet. They had some sweet moments.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, first we'll just start off, like, the episode. Andy has, well, we see Duncan. And they're Duncan. I'm glad we really didn't see him tonight. We only saw him for a brief second.
His glare looking across the But
even his 1 minute on screen, like, you already don't like his character because now he has filed charges against Andy and the division, filed complaints, and even Oliver Shaw said there's no case. Whatever. That's what I said.
I can't wait to hear what the complaint is.
I know. And they still haven't told us what it is.
Lie?
No.
Do you think? You don't?
I mean, again, we're just speculating, but I think maybe negligence or whatnot. But apparently Duncan's still on the payroll. He's still going to be there. But, I mean, come on. Really? How awkward is that? To still be there with Duncan, he has the charges against everybody? Who would do that?
And Sam was telling Andy, like, he's going to be here and just look the other way. And
just walk away and you don't need it. So that's going on. And so Andy, you know, she's actually taken off of the bar Undercover rescue. So that's why she's working with Sam on this. So they're working on this case. Brian Gowdy, his brother, actually reporting him missing, but his bank statements and mail are still there. But the thing is that he sold his condo, he sold his car, and he just left, and he's been making money withdrawals, like the maximum amount of withdrawals for like the last 3 weeks, I believe. So
it's very,
very mysterious. And he's on a cash. He's living off of cash. And I mean, normally anyone thinking if you drop everything and you like liquidate all your fundings, you're running away from someone or something. What do you think? What was it?
This one I don't know. Because the Costa Rica thing, like, what was that? He took a job in Costa Rica and got a condo.
He had 3 different trips to Costa Rica when they were going through his bank statements. But apparently he got a new job at Pacifico International School, which, new job, new condo down there.
It's a little bizarre.
It's very random.
Yeah.
For a case, I mean, it makes sense why he would drop everything, but liquidate his fundings is still
What do you
questionable.
think? I mean, what is your take on this whole thing?
I mean, I feel like maybe someone pressured him to come to Costa Rica, or maybe it was some business deal. I mean, who really knows?
Or is it him doing all this, or someone doing it under his name?
At first, it sounded like, after I heard that he got a new job at Pacifico, it sounded like he just did it himself.
Right.
No one's after him. He got a new job, new life.
And he's just taking off.
Like, yeah, whatever. I mean, I think anyone who gets a new job at a different location, you're going to drop everything at one place and move
in
to
order
the next.
to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that. So I can understand why someone would do that.
Right, a change of pace, but it's just still something mysterious about it.
Very,
yeah.
Very, very mysterious. So they actually, so we found out that he was selling his car online. But there was another guy who was selling the exact same car and model.
So this is where
it gets a little bit confusing. But, okay, so the other guy who was selling his exact same model got confused with the person who was selling the car.
And he took the doctor.
Yeah, the therapist.
Chloe's therapist, right?
No.
Didn't she say something about her therapist? Or it's not?
No, Chloe's been working, so we see Chloe tonight.
Yeah.
She's working the desk, and she sees this guy that comes in who is a therapist, not her therapist, just a therapist. But he was selling the exact same car.
Okay, right.
Yeah, this is where it gets confusing.
Yeah, because I was like, wait, she made a joke.
What?
She made a joke, and they're like, not my therapist, the therapist.
I had to think about it for a second. So it is just a therapist. He was selling the same car. But the guy who was selling the car, because he met the car seller, and that guy thought he was our Costa Rica guy.
Yes, and he terrorizes this guy.
Yeah, terrorize it. And the therapist was scared, didn't ask for a driver's license, which would have been smart.
Yeah, just to know. And that's some serious stuff what happened.
If a guy is acting shady and you're making an illegal problem, I'm assuming an illegal transaction.
Yes.
You would probably want some form of identification.
Something.
I mean,
but it was kind of
name, number.
Yeah, just some of the basics.
Credit card number. I don't know, something.
But he got away. The way he got away was kind of cool, right?
Yeah, he got spooked.
An older guy.
Yeah, he got spooked and ran in reverse, pretty much in the car.
When the guy went to answer his phone, so I mean,
he had a moment of opportunity and he fled, which was smart because he told Andy and Sam the location of where he left that guy, and so they go back to that location, and there's actually a dead person in the trunk.
He led them to the body.
Okay, who do you think that was?
Yeah, because we don't know. Could it have been the guy who terrorized him, or is it?
Or is it that Brian?
Brian.
By the description, because when they were going through everything, they said Brian Gowdy was a 32 single male teacher. And the guy who was dead in the car pretty much had the same description as Brian. Yeah. So I'm guessing maybe Brian. And because Andy did, call up the Pacifico place, and they said that Brian never arrived. So I'm guessing the dead body is Brian.
It's got to be, huh?
Someone was after him.
And so do you think the guy just finally went and got the right? It's very weird because it's in that car. That's the car, right? The car that they found, that was the car.
Yeah.
But it's not the same car. It's because there were 2 cars.
I think that was Brian Gowdy's car. Maybe.
Because it was the same location. We'll see, but it's interesting.
And that's where it's confusing because the episode ends there. Just cuts to black.
Because the guy in the first car, that's where he went. So how is that other car there in that same location? It's do you get that? Do you understand?
Yeah. Oh no. Or see, that's where it gets confusing.
Yeah.
Let us know. I mean, so much happened in tonight's episode.
Yeah. There's a lot to process.
A lot happens. Yeah. A lot happens in 42 minutes.
I'm curious to see what the viewers have to say and the listeners, because that would be. I'd like to know what other people's take on it.
I mean, my only thing is, by the description that we've been given of Brian Gowdy,
that looked like him.
It looks like Brian. But we still don't know who he is, so they should have given us a to be continued slate.
Yeah,
but they didn't. We're definitely
probably. Because it kind of just ended, right? And we're like,
what happened?
Wait.
It's not over. That's what they said. It's not over.
Yeah.
But thankfully it's not over. So we'll hopefully find that out in next week's episode and pick that up. I mean, that would suck if they didn't pick it up. We'd be like, oh, yeah.
No, they can't just let that go.
No, they can't. No. Especially the way they ended.
We need to know more.
So that's a mystery. But meanwhile, while everything else is going on, we have Gail.
And her shenanigans.
Gail. I mean,
yes.
I tend to love and hate Gail. Mostly love. I mean, because I always say she's tough on the outside, but she's gushy all underneath. And she really is just a human being. And I love how every episode we're seeing more layers being shed by her.
Yes, that she does have, like, the soft spot.
She has real feelings. I mean, she is a real person, and I just feel for her, too.
And especially here with the Sophia, the little girl, that stuck with her for some reason. Like, it was bothering her.
Yeah. So we see Gail in this episode. She's in the locker room. Chloe's stuck in her shirt, and Chloe goes to help her. And we see Gail's being very. She's giving away items, which makes me feel maybe they were just like impulsive purchases that Gail's been doing just to make herself feel better, because obviously something's getting to her. We find out it's this Jameson case from last week's episode, because Oliver's been tracking Gail down, be like, hey, you need to give me the report.
Where's my report?
Because the case is still open. We need the witness report. You still haven't given to me. I need that now. And Gail's being she's avoiding it, which
doesn't want to turn it in.
Doesn't seem very Gail-like.
And it's funny, but it's just like for some reason, because at first you're like, why? But she just can't. I mean, maybe there's going to be a connection. Maybe something, it reminds her of something. I don't know. Or maybe it's just simple that little girl really affected her. But you see that it really bothers her, and Shaw he comes and talks to her after. Chloe suggests.
Chloe, I mean, I love Chloe, because Chloe goes to Oliver, and she's worried. She's genuinely worried about Gail, saying, I loved her line that she's worried about Gail shaving her head off, getting a turquoise Amanda Bynes wig. That was hysterical. Love Chloe.
That was a good one. And Shaw kind of came through. Like, he went and he talked to Gail, and and he let her know it's gonna, sometimes you may have seen worse, but this is what touched you. Yeah. Even though this may not be the worst thing you've seen.
Yeah, and I mean, even Oliver was like, this one really affected you. And that's good, because all the other ones are just going to get worse. They're going to hurt a little bit more. But that's good that you're feeling something, that you're not insensitive to, or desensitized to anything, because you should feel these human emotions. That's what makes you a better cop. That's what makes anyone a better person, is to empathize with people. Because Gail even said that, that the little girl, she's alone, and she doesn't have family. Like, she was a happy, good person, and then something bad happened to her, and now she's all alone. And I think Gail relates to that, because now she doesn't have Holly in her life, and she's alone. And she was happy. Something bad happened to her.
Slapped her in the face, and
I mean, I think the Jameson case really paralleled her life. Paralleled her life.
No, I think so. I think she identifies with that little girl in some way, and it could be something from her youth as well. Or I don't, know her background so much, but I definitely think she identifies with her and is, you're right.
Yeah. Absolutely. But I loved and Oliver, just being the great friend. If you need anything, I am here if you want to talk. And then we see Gail actually hug. That was a real hug.
It was a real hug, and it was long, and it was heartfelt. Yeah. And I love that moment.
Very, very heartfelt. I mean, I hope we see more, Holly.
Yeah, that was really sweet. And the only other thing, it's funny because he said everything from here forward is going to hurt more. And it's weird because when you're a cop, you kind of think things hurt less. So that was interesting that he said that. Or
you have to put up, that human shield to protect yourself from all the bad things that are happening. Like, sometimes you just gotta, not accept it and just do it.
Yeah. And it's also hard to balance that, as a cop. I mean, having to not become desensitized, but at the same time, you have to have emotions. And
I just want to talk a little bit more about Andy and her case that's going on, because we see Andy throughout the whole episode, she's getting worried about this case being filed against her. And we see Sam, or even Nick at the beginning, we'll get to that. But we see Sam comforting her throughout the whole episode, be like, it's a rite of passage for all police, and, putting things into perspective, like, some people try suing the weather people for giving inaccurate weather. I mean, which is true. It's just the ridiculousness of people that sometimes I feel that Duncan, he's new, he's green, he's acting like a little kid who got his feelings hurt, and he's telling on Mama and Papa. That's
a good one. It's true, but it's obnoxious, and it's very strange. Like I said before last week, I kind of think that there's something sinister going on, and that he came in planning to do this or something. It just doesn't make sense to me why he's going to be, suing, because she didn't do anything.
Okay, so we also find out when Andy was telling Sam that she was pretty much embellishing her reports and leaving specific details out about Duncan because she thought that would actually help him. I'm like, that's not going to help him.
Thing. A lot of times people put things in that aren't true. Well, she basically left things out, trying to protect him, thinking, okay, I'm not going to say this and tarnish.
Positive spin.
Yeah, and she's, positive spin to protect him, because she's like, give the kid a chance. She said that, and she goes, there are things that should have been in there.
That aren't. And
like you said, that's going to come back and bite her in the butt.
Oh, totally, it's going to bite her. I mean, and this might get into prediction territory, too. So, also, I just find that's definitely going to bite her in the behind. But, not doing those detailed reports and stuff, that's not helping Duncan.
Yeah.
I mean, you can make him sound better and make it in a way to make you feel better about his bad performance, but that still doesn't help Duncan out.
Yeah, it turned into a big mess now.
Yeah,
because now she's to defend herself, she's gonna have to say that she lied. And then they're going to have to believe her, and then he might be able to say that never happened. So
now Duncan kind of does have a case.
He might.
And they could use that against her. That, hey, negligent reporting, negligent work during your, whatever they call it. They're going to spin that into something.
Totally.
I mean, so. Other than that, is there anything else?
Well, there was just something cute that I just thought Sam and Andy, it was kind of cute, their interactions. And then she mentioned about his, you speak Spanish. He said, I do speak Spanish. And then she was like, well, I thought you only did that in a bedroom or when you were naked.
That was only reserved for when you were naked.
Yes, that was
great
really,
was that?
It was just cute. They had a cute little thing going on.
I mean, it was cute. Again, I say I am a mixed work fan, but I still want to see Andy and Nick together. I'm going to preach that every week, because we also see Nick at the beginning saying, "Hey, it's okay, just walk away.
Yeah, it was Nick
don't let Duncan bother you. There's nothing you can do." And I'm like, "Go, Nick.
Yeah.
You be that comforting guy and lean on, she can lean on your shoulder." But I mean, it was nice to see Nick, flirt with someone else, but take her down.
I love that.
I mean, Nick definitely had his moment in tonight's episode. But other than that, it was a great episode.
It really was.
Lots happened.
So much.
All right, so, let's get to some news, shall we?
AfterBuzz TV News.
All right, so again, I say Canada is a few weeks ahead of us, so I'm so afraid to read any news and gossip, because I'm afraid that it might be spoiler. But I did find this nice article on globaltv.com they interview Aaliyah O'Brien, who plays Holly, on the show. And they were pretty much just interviewing her about her thoughts on the whole Holly-Gail relationship. And she says that, "I think Holly misses Gail like crazy, but is only willing to go so far to connect and make things right. She's hurt that Gail didn't care enough to hear her out." Speaking about the night at the bar in that episode. But Holly wants to be with a woman that loves her and doesn't bolt whenever conflict arises.
And there's the other side then.
But we also see Gail. Do you think Gail's the kind of person who will stick to it? Doesn't seem like it. She just, one bad thing happened and she just up and left. I mean, I think Gail pulled the plug a little too early.
Well, she didn't hear her out, and maybe she should have, but at the same time, we know Holly probably should have. I mean, I think Gail had a right to be upset, actually, and to storm off.
Yeah, and then, also in that episode, we remember when the friends said they thought Gail was too blue-collar.
Yeah.
But, so they asked Leo, do you think Holly thinks that? And she said, no, not at all. Holly is interested in the person, being Gail, not her job. And Gail is not only gorgeous, she's incredibly weird and fun, and Holly loves that. It's the deeper, emotionally immature behaviors that prove problematic. And another nice thing that she added, she said, Holly finds Gail so amazing. She expects her friends would eventually too. Which obviously actually wasn't the case, because we know Holly is a scientist, but she's capable of digging past people's outer layers to find the truth.
Wow.
And I think that was a really nice metaphor.
It really was, and I can see that.
Absolutely. Definitely. I mean, so maybe we'll see more of Holly.
I think we will.
Yeah, and Leah O'Brien definitely wants to, because she said the Twitter response, fans are blowing up her Twitter for the love of #Golly, so that's the ship name, Gail and Holly. #Golly on a daily basis, and warms her heart. So I think she wants more of Holly Gail action too. I think we all do. And that is it for news. I thought that was sweet.
Very cool.
So let's get into predictions.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right. So, what do we think of Diaz? I got a few questions and predictions. First off, Diaz, what do you think is going to go down with him? Are people going to find out about his drug problem? And how far into his monetary problems is he now?
Well, I mean, it seems like he's getting pretty deep, and that they're going to have to find out, unless he would have to get it together real quick. And you never know. Dove may end up being like, yo, get it together now. That's possible. He may kind of talk to him and say, get it together, or else, and maybe he will. But it looks like he's deteriorating, and it's crumbling, and he's deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's affecting Diaz's behavior, because I don't do drugs, but it's been said that anyone on cocaine, you become more aggressive, and we see Diaz being aggressive. He's more angry, and he's
careless, angry,
reckless. He again deteriorating. He's on a downward spiral.
I think he's deteriorating, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone saved him in the sense of helps him snap.
I think so, because he's at the point where he can still be saved. Yes. He's not rock bottom yet, but he's definitely going to get into that point. Andy and her case. Does Duncan have a strong case against her?
I do not think so, but there might be something I'm missing, unless it's just going to be spinned in some way to make it look like she did something. And because she left out details, maybe it's going to be able to look like that. But from what I can see, he does not have a case.
No, I still don't think he has a case. But knowing that Andy did leave out the details, I think Jarvis, because he's still an interesting, shady guy too. Yeah. We kind of think that, well, maybe just me, we think that Jarvis is in there to, sabotage the division and find this little known detail. Hey, you're not reporting everything correctly. These details are negligent.
Like Duncan
bad
can be a
cop.
plant.
Yeah, bad cop. You guys are going down. Yeah. So they could use that against her.
It seems like it's going to be something. Like they planted Duncan in there to kind of
purposely take down.
That's what I think. That's
just people.
Yeah.
I don't know,
it just seems too...
I don't know, but Duncan doesn't seem smart enough to be the person to ruin everything, even though he is.
He may just be playing a role.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's crazy. And also, just another little update on the webisode. So after this episode, you were supposed to watch the Tracy and Chris Part 2. And in that one, Tracy and Chris, they're still doing the stakeout. They're playing Go Fish card game. And you can see Chris is all anxious. And he's jittery. And he's like constantly looking at his clock. He doesn't want to be there. And I think he needs his fix. He's getting addicted.
He's running low.
Oh, yeah. He's kind of going through withdrawal. And he needs his fix. Oh. And Tracy's kind of picking up on that. It's like,
maybe it's going to get worse.
You don't want to be here. Something's going on. But, Tracy, just being the nice woman that she is, invites Chris to go out and get his smoothie because their shift ends. They're like, let's get out of here. Let's go grab something to eat. And Diaz is like, no, I'm meeting up with someone. Clear lie. And we know that he just wants his next fix. So it's
so maybe he's going to crumble. I mean, maybe he's not going to get saved. Maybe he's just going to get worse. And I don't know for Diaz. I mean,
I think it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's already pretty bad.
It's definitely
pretty bad.
I mean, if you go on drugs, that's don't do drugs, people. Don't do drugs. There's no point. But other than that, great episode. Thank you all for listening and rating, commenting, downloading. Yvonne, where can we find you?
You can find me at ENTCrush at Twitter.
All right, and you can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff at AFTERBUZZ TV. Please rate and comment. Tell a friend. And you know what? We will see you next week.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.